All right, we're back with another People's Choice. Today it's going to be the top 10 most owned games by you, the BGG users.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the People's Choice. I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph here on behalf of Board Game Geek. And yes, this is a monthly segment where we don't bother talking about our opinions on games. We're here to talk about objective data
and facts.
and empirical facts.
Yes.
About all stuff having to do with Board Game Geek. So today we're going to talk about, these are the 10 most owned games according to Board Game Geek. So this is something you can do if you have a game collection. You can basically go in and digitally create it right here on Board Game Geek and say if you own a game, if it's on your want to try, your wish list, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So you can do that, and this is going to be the 10 games that appear the most as owned by the users of BGG.
And before you watch the video, I want put down in the comments, what do you guess? What do you think?
Exactly.
Because you can probably guess.
You can probably guess
them,
some
right?
of them.
It's going to be a lot of the stuff you're thinking of, right? And so I'm curious if anyone can just guess it.
Yes.
Right. You don't necessarily put them in order, but the 10 most owned
what
games.
do you think of the 10 most owned games out of there? You can probably guess a bunch.
What do you think is number one? Yeah.
Put those in a comment. Yeah, put your guess in for what number one is, and then if you make a list and stuff, you can put a little edit to your comments up with the actual list and see how close you were and stuff. We'd love to see your guesses because this is one that,
and this one you probably have a pretty good chance.
You're going to get some of them, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about them in order as they are owned. So the 10th most owned all the way up to the number one most owned game, and tell you a little bit about them and then why we think they resonate with people so much. And with that, let's hop right into number 10. Number 10 is actually, to me, surprisingly low. With that said, it's owned by 1 million people. This is Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, it sold like millions of copies. They put it on the box.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, I figured it'd be higher than that. You know
Oh, you think it'd be higher? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying you thought it wouldn't be on the list.
No. I expected it to be higher on the list. This is Ticket to Ride. This is a route-building train game where you are going to be collecting cards that show different colors on them. And then on a turn, you can either draw cards to add to your hand, or you can play down a set of the same color cards to basically claim a route between cities.
Yes.
And you're trying to complete contracts. There's like these destination tickets, which means, hey, get from this city to that city.
Have an unbroken line of your trains between those two cities.
All the way through. So Ticket to Ride is like one of the definitive gateway games.
Yeah.
It's not heavy on the rules. It's draw some cards, make the routes. A lot of the routes are color specific, so you need to turn in pink cards for a pink route and stuff. If it's gray, you can choose what color you want, but you have to have all the same color of card. They're easy things to understand, and there's a lot of strategic jockeying for position. You can block each other as you try to accomplish these goals and stuff. And so this is just one that I feel like if it's not in your collection now, it has probably been in your collection at some point.
Yeah.
If you are to the level of collecting games.
Yeah.
Ticket to Ride, I'm sure, has one of the many versions, mind you, has factored in somewhere.
Yeah, and this is just Ticket to Ride, right?
Yeah.
Ticket
Base
to Ride,
America map, the original Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride, Europe, which is probably the second biggest Ticket to Ride in terms of sales. I don't know exactly where it is, but my guess is it's probably in the top 20 because it's sold very well. But that's one nice thing about Ticket to Ride in general, not just for this list, is just there's so many of them. There's so many different maps. There's a lot of standalone games, like Ticket to Ride Europe is its own standalone game. But there's also a bunch of maps that you can play on of all over the world.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. There's now smaller versions that you can play quicker.
Compact, express
There's now
versions.
a legacy version. They've really supported this game a lot because it's sold like hotcakes because it's one of the best games ever made, which is why it's one of the most owned games in the whole world. Number 9 is going to be, I was actually kind of surprised this was still on the list, but I guess it was so big for so long. And this is Seven Wonders. Just straight Seven Wonders.
Seven Wonders is has been around.
Again, been around for
the
a
world, man.
long time. And so, 2010, right? So it's like that's pushing 20 years.
16 years in now to it. And,
which for board games is pretty old,
Something you're going to see with this list is there's going to be a lot of games that are on that kind of gateway side of things. So what I mean by that is their games are going to be a little easier and stuff. They're going to be some of the first games you own. And Seven Wonders, much like Ticket to Ride, was one that like a lot of people got early and stuff. And one that's really like there are still so many people who have had Seven Wonders for a long time and are still super into it. It's still
their jam,
It's an incredibly well-supported game as well with expansions and stuff. There's, obviously Seven Wonders Duel is an all-time game as well. Based on this game, that game wouldn't exist without Seven Wonders and stuff,
It does. There's obviously, as Mikey said, there's going to be a lot of like kind of gateway level intro kind of games. And one of the main ways you can get people into board games is to really show them something they haven't seen before, right? Like our example is always a game, we'll talk about it a little bit later, like Carcassonne, where it's like a tile-laying game. If you've only ever played like Monopoly and Sorry, even things like Stratego, a tile-laying game is something you just never even knew existed.
Yeah.
And so Seven Wonders is a drafting game, right?
Card
It's a game where you're drafting out cards. You have a hand of cards that have, various stuff about Seven Wonders. You have materials, you have the wonders, you have like science, you have different things.
Your culture,
and you're drafting those around. So you basically take a card, keep a card, pass them over to the next person, take a card, keep passing them, and that's how you do it. That's how you gather the cards for your, I guess, civilization or whatever. And so again, if you're showing that to a new person, they've seen card games, but they've never seen games like that.
Yeah.
And it's like it's one thing that hooks people. It's one thing that hooked us into board games, probably hooked a lot of you into board games, is seeing something you didn't know was a thing and being like, "Ooh, I didn't realize that was a thing. That's kind of cool." And Seven Wonders, I think, is probably most people's first drafting game, right?
I would think so. That or maybe like a Sushi Go, but like this is really cool. And the fact you're building this tableau throughout the game, and you're kind of building
it's really grounded because you're building the pyramids. You're like, right? It's like
a lot of high satisfaction and stuff. So I'm not surprised to see Seven Wonders around. And this is a game that's just going to be all these games you could say this for are games that are going to be continually bought through time because like they're a great place to start in the hobby.
This was probably the biggest game on the list in terms of weight and heaviness. This is Terraforming Mars. It's kind of crazy how many copies of Terraforming Mars have sold. Now, keep on, this is just BGG users owning it. This is not the amount of all of these getting sold.
All of these games, just keep in mind, the actual number is higher.
Oh, way higher.
Because not everyone uses Board Game Geek. They should. But not everyone uses it, so it's like,
And in reality, Ticket to Ride has almost assuredly sold more copies of Terraforming Mars, even though Terraforming Mars is higher on this list.
Yes.
Because, again, BGG users own Terraforming Mars more than Ticket to Ride, at least according to this, right? So it's like, so it's one of those things where a lot of these things, they're within the realm of BGG, right? Through that lens and stuff. But yeah, Terraforming Mars, it goes to show it has been and was one of the most popular games of the 2010s. I mean, it's just... And continues to thrive. I mean, they've done a lot of different versions of Terraforming Mars, smaller versions, all this different kind of stuff. But just that base Terraforming Mars is still absolutely enormous. This is another kind of, you could do some drafting in it, but it's going to be a big engine building game where you are going to be getting various cards as you're trying to terraform Mars. Shocker. So you're trying to... there's all these different kind of thresholds that you're trying to meet in terms of like the oxygen level, the temperature, and then however many oceans are out there. Because again, as you're terraforming, it's warming up. You're getting more and more oxygen.
You got to be able to sustain life.
You got to be able to live there, right? And so you're kind of getting these cards, and all of these cards are going to take certain materials and stuff to put into play, and then they're going to a lot of times give you tags, because there's these tags, like various science tags and stuff, that a lot of other cards will require you to have to play those cards. And those cards are then going to do a whole litany of things. There's so many
really
cards.
A lot, yeah.
That's one of the reasons why it's so compelling about this game is you can take, like, okay, I'm going to try and do this strategy, try and gather a couple of these kinds of cards and really start hitting this thing, hitting that temperature, increasing your terraforming score. It's just great. It's just what it is that is great.
Yes, absolutely. And this is one that, like, even today, 10 years on, basically, if you're walking through a convention, this is on a table somewhere. At all times. And that's pretty impressive for, not being a new game. When it was first out, it was
everywhere.
On all the tables.
Yeah.
Literally. So this is one that just has massive staying power. Next up is a game that will probably not surprise anyone. This is Codenames.
Yeah, talk about a game that took over the world for a bit. Yeah,
Codenames has
it still
sold
continues to. Yeah,
so many units. They just hit their, I think, 10th year anniversary, right? This year they're kind of doing a big
yes, because
anniversary.
2015 was when it came out.
Another anniversary stuff, new editions of Codenames. This is a classic, at this point, party game where you're on teams and you're going to be giving word clues. There'll be one person on each team that knows the answers to the test and stuff. So there's going to be a grid of 25 cards in the middle of the table. They're just different words.
Yep.
These are the code names of the spies that you're trying to find. And on each team, you'll have, certain words amongst these are your agents. And so you are going to try to give clues to your teammates that are going to point to specifically the cards that are your agents and ideally not to the other agents and give away points essentially. But the thing is you can only give a one-word clue. So you're going to give a one-word clue, but you can say, hey, this one-word clue, elephant, whatever it might be, pertains to 3 of the words in this grid. So you are then trying to find the through line. So it could be like trees. Like, well, trees have trunks. Elephants have trunks. Maybe it's tree is one of them. They push over trees when they eat and stuff. And you're going to try as a team to then discuss and figure out, like, what are they trying to point us toward? And it's a race to get all of your spies basically flipped over before the opposing team does the same. What's really fun, though, is if you misstep and say, it's this word over here, and it's one of the opponent's things, they get to put their spy down, and so you've just now helped them toward their victory. And it's just a super simple concept. But the idea that you can have a clue pertain to multiple things, so you're really trying to find like that center point that all the other, clues come toward is so fun to try to think of, like, what's the clue? How can I get as much done with one word as humanly possible, but ideally not throw your own teammates off and stuff. It's insanely fun. Gosh, there's been a million versions of it now.
And that's the thing, right? Yeah, there's like Codenames Pictures, which came out pretty quickly after that. There's Codenames Duet, which is a 2-player version, which is my favorite.
There's a bunch of IP-based ones like Disney and stuff.
Simpsons one. There's so many. There's a lot. There's like Codenames After Dark, and all this different kind of stuff. They have the base Codenames. I think it's sold like 10 million copies, and that's just base, like not including all the other ones. It has been enormous. So it's definitely on this list. It's still great. I still love Codenames. I played it somewhat recently. I'm like, man, Codenames still rocks.
It's a great game.
It's just fun. It's this popular and this well owned for a reason. Next up is actually going to be, I think, the newest game on the list. Do you have an idea what it is?
Oh, gosh.
What's been humongous?
Arc Nova.
No, Wingspan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Arc Nova's too big. Yeah, Arc Nova's probably too big. Yeah, Wingspan is 2019. So at this point, it's 6-7 years old. But
you said how many years old?
7 or 6 years old.
There you go.
We don't do 6, 7 anymore.
No, but watch it.
We're done.
That was close.
We're done with that.
That was
the
whole
thing. I still don't get it. Wingspan. Wingspan has been enormous.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yes, Wingspan. This is a game about bird watching, and then you get that through a scope, right?
Well, I guess it clicks in.
Just bird watching through binoculars, of course. A little bit, no duck hunting. So it's a game about bird watching. So you're building out a tableau of various bird cards. You're getting these cards, you're spending their favorite kind of foods. They might need berries, they might need these various different kinds, like little grubs, little worms to go into place, or like rodents, something like that. If it's a big like predator, like an eagle or a falcon or something like that. You're putting them down in your tableau in the landscape that makes sense for them, so like a wetland, kind of like a grasslands or a forest. And then each kind of turn, one of the things you can do is, of course, put out a new bird, but also what you can do is you can basically activate that landscape, like the forest, the grasslands, or the wetlands. The wetlands gives you like a lot of cards. The forest mostly is what gives you food, and then the grasslands is what gives you eggs, because your birds can lay eggs, which will be points. But so you basically are going to put your marker, your action marker, at the end of the line in the row you want to activate, and then you'll activate that, and then it'll go down onto the birds in that row, and then all the birds that can activate will activate. Most of them will activate when they're in mid-round like that. Sometimes they're like end of round, sometimes they're end of game. Sometimes it's in response to what other people are doing. But so you're basically running this engine. You're building out this kind of bird tableau and then activating them kind of in the most advantageous way for you. It's just really good. It really has taken the world by storm. This is one of those games, like one of those like really true hobby games that's like gone into like the cultural zeitgeist where most people, even if they're not board gamers,
a lot of people have heard about
probably
Wingspan.
have at least heard of Wingspan. I'll randomly see it like show up in like, if I'm like watching a YouTube channel for like woodworking or something like that, and I'll just see like if they're like in their house, and I'll just see like Wingspan on the shelf in the back. Like it happens like that a lot more and more nowadays. So it's really entered the cultural zeitgeist, and it's been huge and popular.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of satisfaction because you build out this tableau of birds that you get to activate, but as you put more birds into a row, it also makes the action, that base action of getting food or eggs, stronger. So there's just a really good sense of like a build up with this game, and a million kind of combos you can build up and exploit and stuff. It's really awesome. And like, again, theme can really matter. And like Wingspan, the theming, the art, all of that mixed with the mechanisms came together so perfectly that like, it's no surprise at all that it has been so wildly popular. Next up's gonna be, okay, now we're into like no-duh territory.
Yeah, kind of.
This is Azul.
Yeah.
Azul. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
This game, okay, what was the original, like, when it first came out to Essen, in its original year, they brought something like 2,000 copies.
Yeah.
A very ambitious amount.
Yes.
And granted by Michael Kiesling, a very well-known designer and everything like that, but they brought a lot of copies, and it sold out like that. And so this is before it's even out wide, but you see that initial like hit and how many people were attracted to it.
Yes.
You're like, oh, they knew they had something here.
And here's the thing, this is not what they did, but like, what if they were like, this game's not that good, but let's bring a bunch and then be like, these are gonna sell out.
That's a risky
Honestly,
gambit.
it would probably work decently well.
Yeah, luckily for for them, they also had a really great game. But
did.
This is one, Azul is, talk about like so many things going right.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's got those acrylic bits, especially,
Great production,
a handful of years ago when like that wasn't as common, something where that kind of really feels like a deluxe piece.
Yeah, like kind of like a
highly satisfying to touch.
A more highly produced abstract game.
Yeah.
There were some, but they're always small print runs. This is kind of the first kind of like, again, hitting more of a mass market thing. Yeah.
These look like candy. They look so delicious. You have an awesome designer. Super simple rules for like drafting tiles. You're drafting tiles to basically fill up these rows on your board to be able to move tiles over to this mosaic you're making. So it's like really simple rules and stuff. You can be really strategic and tactical. You can really mess with each other. There's hate drafting and things going on.
Oh yeah, baby.
So there's a lot of like depth of strategy, but the ability to get into Azul is very low. The threshold is low. It's easy to get into. And you just had all those things mixed. And you're like, it's no wonder that this has sparked. I think there's 4 Azul games now. There's mini versions of a couple of them.
The chocolate version.
A chocolate, the haunted chocolatier version, which is really fun. There's on and on and on. Yeah. It's just really awesome. And I just love that, like that confidence. We got something great, and then it hit, and then it just hasn't stopped being sold ever since. And yeah, it's really great. And there's so many awesome versions. I'll put their little twist on it.
Yeah. We talked about Seven Wonders, but what more people have in BGG is Seven Wonders Duel.
Yes. Now again,
which is not really surprising, knowing BGG. No. Again, in the grand scheme of the world, Seven Wonders has, I would almost assume, outsold Seven Wonders Duel.
Maybe, but all Seven Wonders Duel has really gotten out there. So what we mean by like it makes sense for BGG users is this is a phenomenon we've talked a lot about and thought a lot about and stuff. Is there's different levels to a hobby, and this is not saying one is better than the other at all.
No, not at all.
I'm just saying that there's a level of how deep in are you?
Yes.
If you're to the point where you're logging your collection and stuff on BGG, this isn't your first week in the hobby.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you've been in it a little bit.
If you've made it to BGG, it's not your first week in the hobby.
So something like Terraforming Mars pops up because that's what we always refer to as like, that's a BGG game.
Yes.
It's a weight level and stuff that people who are going to be really into this hobby and into it and into logging plays and session reports and stuff. Well, it's going to be that kind of, those are the people who are also logging their collections and things. Yeah. So Seven Wonders Duel
is much more of a BGG game.
Yeah, it's a little bit more tactical. It's a heads-up 2-player version of Seven Wonders. It's not a heavy game necessarily, but it can be more strategic than Seven Wonders. in terms of like how you're trying to manipulate this kind of card pyramid that you're drafting from now. You're not handing hands of cards over. And so you can do a lot of stuff like that. So it makes sense that people who are, you know, more entrenched in following the news and stuff of the day and on BGG are the people that would probably go for that.
Yeah.
But it's also got a nice thing. It's like, this also can be played 2-player.
Yeah.
Only 2-player. Seven Wonders is a 3+ player game.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people, I think, out there that are probably playing with, you know, one other person, you know, a best friend, you know, a partner. And so having a 2-player version of a game like this, I think makes it, you know, really accessible for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, we certainly play Seven Wonders Duel a lot more than we ever have Seven Wonders. And so I'm not surprised to see that actually be a bit higher.
Yeah. Like I said, it makes sense for BGG users. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great game, super duper fun.
Oh, yeah.
And it's out there.
What we talked about a little bit earlier was Carcassonne, and Carcassonne is number 3 on here. It is
Crazy thing, there's 2 more above this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just
the
because...
2 above it makes sense,
Right.
But yeah, it is, because when I think of like, oh, what's one of the most popular like gateway intro games, Carcassonne is usually at the top of my list. It actually shouldn't be, but it is, at least in my head. So I'm like, oh yeah, like Carcassonne is probably not the most popular gateway game. We'll talk about the other 2 in a moment, but yeah, Carcassonne is great. And then we kind of talked about it earlier when I was talking about like, to introduce new people into the board game hobby, it's good to show them something that's accessible, but also something that is something they've never seen before. And Carcassonne is very much that, because Carcassonne starts off on the board as 1 tile. That is it. And then you kind of build the board as you go.
Yeah.
So if you're only used to traditional board games that have a board, this is completely different. You're like, where's the board? You're like, we're going to build it. We're going to build the whole thing. Yeah, it's something you never would have thought. And it's like, okay, so again, in Carcassonne, you're building out the region of Carcassonne. And I think in Illinois.
Yeah, Carcassonne, Illinois.
Carcassonne, Illinois. And you're putting out these tiles. These tiles are going to have a couple different features on them. They could have grass. They could have a bit of a city. They could have a bit of a road, or they might have a monastery on them. And so basically, as you're putting out these tiles, you'll be putting them orthogonally adjacent to another tile. And you have to make the landscape make sense. So you can't have a road just dead end into the middle of a city or something like that. All this stuff has to make sense. So it's very accessible, because you're going to grab a tile, you're going to put it somewhere, and you just have to make it make sense.
Yeah.
That's all you're kind of doing.
Everyone can kind of get that concept, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then as you put out like a road piece, you can then put one of your meeples on that road if it hasn't been claimed before. And once that road ends, either it loops back in on itself or it does have some set dead end points, you will take that meeple off and score 1 point per tile that road is long. The cities are the same thing. You can put your meeples into cities. Once that city is complete, you'll get 2 points per tile in the city. And so that's kind of all you're doing. It's very, very simple to explain, like, hey, these are like the 3 or 4 things that score in the game. On your turn, you're going to grab a tile, you're going to put it out somewhere where it makes sense, and hopefully somewhere that's advantageous for you. And let's go. We can go ahead and play. It's very, very easy to get into, and it's just fun. I mean, I've played, I don't know how many times, Carcassonne a heck of a lot of times.
A bajillion, yeah.
You can just play it over and over and over again, because the game is always different, because the tiles are not coming out in the same order, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of those beautiful things where it's like the game will never be the same.
Yeah, the tableau that ends up, you know, displayed on the table by the end of the game is always different, always pretty, always satisfying to look at, because it all makes sense and everything like that. It's just a really cool game that anyone can get into and play. And yeah, so it's no doubt that this is up here. And again, similar like Ticket to Ride, there's a million billion versions.
Yes.
So if you're talking about Carcassonne as a whole in terms of how many people own any version of Carcassonne,
a lot.
Who knows what that number is?
Talk about a game with a lot of versions. Pandemic is number 2.
Yeah.
But this is just base Pandemic.
Yeah, base Pandemic, this is, yeah, you know, for many people, ourselves very much included, this was the gateway game. This was the game that got you into the hobby. It is probably one of the games that many of you owned right away. This was, you know, for us, this did that thing that we talked about with Carcassonne and different games, where it's like, this did something I had never seen before in a game. Like, we grew up playing the classic board games, a lot of Sorry and stuff like that. And then I didn't play board games for a long time.
Yeah.
And then And then I got to go to your friend's house who they were like board gamers and into it. And they had like this game Pandemic. And I was just like, what is this? And then we got to play and I'm like, wait, we're all on the same team. We're working together. Like we're literally saving the world. The stakes of this are so high.
Yeah.
And we just played it like 2 or 3 times back to back. I was just like, again, do it again. It was so amazing. I was like, I have a unique power. Like I have a thing I can do. I'm part of this team. It did so many things that I was like, I did not know this was possible. And I was just like, yo, that's awesome. And before I even knew about the wider board game world, I was just like, oh yeah, we need to own that. And we owned and played Pandemic. And the next game we'll talk about pretty much exclusively for a long time. You know what I mean? And it was just so much fun and still is so fun. There's something so kind of beautifully simple about like we have a very common goal: save the world. The world's at danger. I know what I need to do.
Right.
The stakes are real, and let's figure out how to solve this puzzle. And the fact that we're all playing against the game is just super duper cool.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy that this is so highly regarded and stuff because so many of us would not be here without this game and also the next game.
The next game you probably know is Catan.
Oh,
of course, Settlers of Catan or just Catan now. Of course, it's number one. You probably all guessed this. Catan, is obviously not a new game. This is the oldest game. It's the only game from the 90s. Everything else here is from the 2000s. This is 1995 was Catan. Everything else is the 2000s.
Yeah, Carcassonne's 2000 and then Ticket Ride's 2004, I think. And
yeah, so it's like this is the
one...
oldest game on there. And it's still, to this day, probably the biggest gateway game out there that gets people into the hobby.
Yeah.
It's still enormous. There are big tournaments for it. Apparently, I think they're still trying to make a Settlers of Catan TV show, which I don't know what that's going to be.
No idea.
But it'd be a lot of sheep trading.
They better be in there.
But again, it goes to show like this is in the cultural zeitgeist in terms of most people, if they don't know anything about board games, they've probably at least heard of Catan.
I feel like almost everybody has played Catan in like their college years.
Yeah, right.
Whether or not you're in college, if you're around that age, like I think just about everyone's played this game.
Again, it's one of the biggest games ever. Yeah,
widely.
It's enormous. It has its own booth at like Gen Con just for Catan, right? It's like it's still that big, and I feel like the BGG part of the hobby is like moved on from Catan in a lot of ways. There's a lot of and to the point where Catan, I feel like, is more often spoken of relatively negatively rather than positively. But just because, like, again, like, I'm in a similar boat where, like, I feel like there's better games that do something similar to Catan, but just do it better.
Yeah, I think that's really what it is. Like, they're like, if you like Catan, try this.
Yeah,
and that thing is maybe more popular now.
But again,
they have so much time in, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if anything will ever catch it.
And again, like, we own Catan. It was one of our first games as well. Because, because even at the time when we started, 15 years ago or so, it was one of the few games that a lot of people knew about. And so, of course, we got it and we loved it too. I haven't played Catan in quite a while, but it's like...
It's an old school copy that came with the bumper sticker?
Yeah, that's right. The Catan bumper sticker.
That's
right. Yeah, and it's great. It's a great game. It's this big... Still for a reason. It's still played all over the place, and again, it's the most owned game because most people still got it, even if they haven't played it for a while. They're like, "Well, I'm not going to get rid of Catan,"
It's a classic, man, and like, 30 odd years in now, it still is really great. It stood the test of time.
Yep.
There's such a scene for it still. It's really cool to see a game, that who knows how many games this game has birthed in a way, because if nothing else, because some future game designer got into the hobby because of Catan, and then they made their own games and stuff like that. So he's like not only just borrowing mechanisms and things like that from Catan, but like just where we owe so much of our hobby to that game and stuff. And it's one that like deserves its praise and deserves its place in history and its importance and stuff. So it's cool to see, how many people own it and stuff. This is a game that is, you look at like which game is the most reviewed on Board Game Geek and things like that, this is always way up there on all of those lists because it has played such an important role in so many people's journey into and through board games. So that's the list, everybody. Those are the 10 most
There you go.
owned games, again, according to the users of Board Game Geek. So
Yes.
according to y'all. So this is our call to action. If you haven't logged your collection, do it. It's really cool. And that's something that if you go and click on someone's profile, you can, and they have their collection logged, you can see what games they own and things like that. And again, you can put, not just if you own something, but if you're interested in trying it.
Yeah, wish listing.
You put it on a wish list and things.
Open to trade, yeah.
Open to trading, all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of ways you can use Board Game Geek to, kind of curate your board gaming experience. So please do that, and it'll always contribute to lists like this. Every People's Choice is fully, things that are decided by you and what you decide to rank and do on Board Game Geek. This is a living, breathing website that is always changing. So someday in the future, we could do this list, and the list would be
I'm very
different.
curious of what's going to break into the top 10, yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. Put your guess. What do you think is going to be the next game in the top 10 most owned? I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know, that's going to be hard.
I'm going to go with like a Dune Imperium maybe or something.
Oh, maybe.
It might take a while.
Yeah.
But maybe someday,
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
Anyway, let us know how you did on your guesses for what games were going to be the most owned in the comments below. Put, how many of these games do you own?
Oh, yeah.
Like, how many of them are in your collection? Because there's probably a handful. They are owned by a lot of people. We have 3, 4, 5 at least.
We have 7 of them.
7 of them.
Yeah.
Boom. See if you can beat 7. I'm sure you can.
I'm sure you can, yeah.
That's going to be it for everybody. For us, everybody. I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
That is Nick right there. We are the Brothers Murph. This has been the People's Choice. Thank you for using Board Game Geek and contributing to this. And we'll see y'all next month.
Bye, everybody.